Hello everybody, welcome to Edmonds Woodway High School. We're excited to have you join us next year, and in today's presentation you'll find out a few nuts and bolts about our school as well as the process to request and register for classes for next year. Speaking of nuts and bolts, here is our normal daily bell schedule for Monday through Thursday, so every day but Friday. Mondays and Wednesdays are odd days, so you go to your odd number periods, 1, 3, and 5. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are even days. You go to your even periods, 2, 4, and 6. Every day, Monday through Thursday, every day except for Friday, we have advisory, which is 30 minutes of independent work time or getting help from your teacher time. And then sometimes there are assemblies instead, things like that. And then we have 2 lunches at our school. They're based on the type of class that you're taking in the middle period of the day. So on an odd day, third period, if you have a certain type of class, English, social studies, you would have A lunch, for example, and that is in between, that's in the middle of your third period. If you have B lunch, which is a lot of times elective classes and some other types of classes, that lunch comes after the middle period or third period on an odd day. And then everyone goes off to the last period of the day. We always start school at 7:20 and we always end at 1:50 unless it's a half day or something like that. Here's our Friday schedule. You go to all periods on Friday, and there's no advisory, and the classes are shorter. They're less than an hour, whereas the other ones are on the block days are closer to 2 hours. Lunch works the same way, where it's based off of the type of class you're taking fourth period and whether or not you go to lunch before that fourth period class or after that fourth period class. Okay, this is a very important slide. The class of 2021 is the first class that needs 24 credits to graduate instead of 22 credits. So if you normally take 6 credits a year, 4 years in a row. 6 times 4 is 24. So essentially this means that the class of 2021 needs to pass every class that they take. There used to be a little bit of wiggle room, but that is not the case anymore for the class of 2021 and beyond. I want to point out a few things on here, but before we go further, I recommend that if you'd like to look at this more closely and assess this page and see if it makes sense, go ahead and pause the video now, look it over, and then when you feel like you've gathered what you want to gather from the screen, then hit play again and continue. So here they all are in the different graduation area requirements. Notice that on the left-hand side in art and math and science and world language, it says see note below. The note below is not on the screen, and it has to do with some sort of student-specific substitutions that may be able to be made. But for now, we recommend that you don't consider that quite yet. Follow this, and then if later on in a high school career, 11th and 12th grade, if it begins to feel like there needs to be a credit substitution at that point in 11th and 12th grade, that would be a good time to contact the school counselor and review what the options are for some alternative graduation requirements. It's pretty complex, and so it's not worth going into too much detail here. Just plan on registering for and moving towards these 24 credits that you see here on the screen. So graduation is not just about credits, but it's one of the main things. Earn 24 credits is one of the things you need to do to graduate, but there are also state tests, and these state test requirements change a little bit every year. Currently, for the class of 2021, there's 3 state testing areas. There's the ELA, or English Language Arts test. Students take that in 10th and 11th grade. There's the Smarter Balance Math test, which students will take in 10th or 11th grade, depending on what level of math that they're in. And then the biology end of course test, which is taken at the end of the year that you're taking a biology class. In addition to passing those state tests, which do have alternative ways of passing, so contact the school counselor after those tests have been attempted if the test didn't go well, because there are some alternatives available. And then in addition to that, there's a high school and beyond plan. And really what that is the work that the students are doing every year throughout the year in the new Navient college and career planning curriculum program. Students will be trained on that in school, and videos and information will be sent home to students and families about what that looks like. Nothing for you to be doing about that right now. So what is required for an IB diploma? We recognize many students coming to Edmonds Woodway are currently interested in pursuing a full IB diploma or are interested in researching more about what that would look like. IB diploma requires specific content in specific areas, but that is more for 11th and 12th grade, and there's a lot of things to do in the 9th and the 10th grade in terms of coursework to make sure you're prepared for that 11th and 12th grade IB diploma coursework. So this is what the Counseling Center has come up with for the best sort of initial explanation and initial image of what the IB diploma requirements are. Here are the minimum requirements for public universities in Washington State, and they closely align with high school graduation requirements, but there are a few exceptions. The math minimum is slightly different, mostly the same, but you'll notice a math class senior year is normally required unless pre-calculus is finished at the end of junior year. This is a good visual example of what a official transcript that gets sent off to colleges after high school, this is what it would look like. And this is what the end of 9th grade looks like. You have 6 classes or so each semester, and 2 semesters in 9th grade. So you notice on the left-hand side, student failed a number of courses and is now definitely behind for graduation and will need summer school and other things like that. And on the right-hand side, it's a student who's passing and earning credits and for the most part doing well. So you have 2 different starts to a high school career, and what students will say time and time again is that 9th grade was so important to get off on the right foot. If 9th grade didn't go well, it feels like you're battling an uphill climb to try to catch up and try to finish 4 years graduating on time. We're getting more and more questions about a GPA and what does it mean and how it's calculated. So here is a quick lesson on how to calculate a GPA. And you can see up at the top an A is worth 4, a B is 3, C is 2, and so on. And what you have to do to calculate your GPA is add up the numerical values of the grades that you earned and then divide that by the number of classes you've taken, and that's what your GPA is. And the point of this slide is to show that although this student here passed classes, got A's in some classes, B's in other classes, and C's in other classes, the average GPA of acceptance to some of our more competitive local universities like University of Washington is about a 3.7, which is about the equivalent of getting all A minuses. So it's important to recognize as you start 9th grade, what grades would you need to have a competitive GPA for college admissions. Many students have taken high school level classes in middle school. Those classes are listed there in the top bullet point, math and world language for the most part. It is not added automatically to your transcript, but you can request to add it. And the next slide is an example of the form that you need to fill out in order to add it. Here's the form. It's available in our middle schools in our school district and in our high school counseling center. The main point to consider here is that once it's added, it cannot be removed, and once it's added, the grade that you received in the class will count towards your overall cumulative high school GPA. So in many cases, we recommend waiting to fill this out until you get towards the end of high school and can assess how it will affect your overall GPA. With that said, if you received a straight A in any of these courses, there's no question that it would be a valuable addition to your transcript, and go ahead and fill out the form. All right, let's begin to talk about registration specifics and the directions for how to register. The registration form is due to your teacher of the classroom that the counselor came to visit to talk about the registration process, and it's due by March 13th. The goal is that After March 13th, the teacher will collect the forms, give it to the counseling center, and the counseling center at the middle school will deliver it to our counseling center at the high school, and then we will enter it into Skyward and begin to build your schedule. So here's the first part of the form, and you'll notice that some of the areas, English, history, science, math, you must choose some of those courses that are listed on there. You need to choose one of them. You can't ignore the box entirely. And the English and science and math are year-long classes, and history in 9th grade is half a year, one semester. So here's the bottom half of the registration sheet. These are the elective options or choice options that are available to 9th grade students. We've written on here the categories and what types of credits you would earn if you took one of these classes below. So take a quick second to see which of these classes are CTE or career technical versus art, which includes music. Music is an art credit, and physical education and health and world languages. So here's how to fill out the bottom part of that registration form. We are looking for 5 X's and 4 alternates marked by A. The X's are your first choices. You want the computer to try to fit those X classes into your schedule. Those are your first choices. And then what we'll do if we try those and for some reason they don't fit due to a scheduling conflict because of another class that you're hoping to take, counselors will go into your schedule and attempt to place you in one of your alternate classes. There is a slight chance that X's and A's all don't fit because of some scheduling conflict, and then counselors will do their very best to put you into a class that appears like it's in line with what you've requested. Notice that the classes that have one line to the left of the course number are one semester. Those classes also have an S in parentheses next to the title. Those classes go for half a year. They're one semester. If they have 2 lines, they are 2 semesters long or a full year long, and there is a Y in parentheses to the right of the course title. If there are 2 lines, it's a year-long class, and you must put an X or an A into both of those lines. You cannot put one X on one line and leave the other line blank. Here's an example of a freshman sample schedule, and we're looking for 5 X's because there are 5 spaces for electives. So in this example, you could have 5 different semester-long classes, or for example, in 5th period, first semester and second semester, there would be 2 elective sections taken up by 1 year-long course. So in this example, 5th period could be Spanish first semester, and then on the right side it would be Spanish again second semester, since that elective Spanish is a year-long course that has 2 lines next to it, 2 semesters, year-long class. For students who are interested in pursuing a full IB diploma should plan to take these courses. Notice that it's similar to the last slide, but these are all honors courses in the core areas of English, biology, history, and then math is a function of what you took the previous year and what you're ready to take now. In the elective section for a student interested in a full IB diploma, it is recommended that you consider putting art into your electives to get that requirement out of the way in case it becomes difficult to fit that requirement in during 11th and 12th grade when you are pursuing your other full IB diploma requirements. Almost every question that you have about a class or a section of classes or graduation requirements or graduation alternative options, pretty much everything is listed in our very thorough curriculum guide. It has the descriptions of classes, it has almost everything you could think of, and the next slide will show you where that exists on our school website. When you go to Edmonds Woodway High School website, there is the Academics tab on the top bar. That's just to the right of the of the far left Home tab. And when you roll over Academics, what will come up is one of the things is the curriculum guide. And when you click on that, it's a PDF that's a big file. When you click on the curriculum guide, this is an example of what you would see. Explanations of a class, the grade levels that the class is offered to, how many credits are available from the class, the description written by the teacher. That's arguably the most helpful part of it. And this is a great place to look more closely at the differences between classes that may sound similar in title, or if you just have a question about what the class entails. Here's a list of examples of clubs we offer at our school. We definitely want you to get involved, especially at the 9th grade level. That's the perfect time to get involved in something like this. We know that students who are involved in clubs and activities have good attendance, connection to the school, and it's a great way to build a resume for college applications and scholarship applications later on. Here are the sports that our school has teams for and the seasons in which those sports are offered. Some of the sports are what we would call a cut sport. So, for example, girls soccer, there's likely more girls trying out than there are spaces on the team. So there will have to be some girls who won't, quote unquote, make the team. But there are other sports that are non-cut sports traditionally. So, for example, cross country is a great fall sport to get exercise, enjoy the warm weather, meet people, get connected to the school community, and anyone is allowed to try out for and make the team, and everyone is accepted and included. It's very important that you remember to take this form seriously, fill it out completely, and submit it on time. Your classes that you asked for on this registration sheet cannot change after you submit it in March. Even though the school year still has a couple months to go, and then there's summer, and then there's a few weeks where staff is back before the start of the year next year, the classes have already been created, the teachers have already been assigned, the rooms have already been organized according to what was put on registration sheets in March. So if there's something that you wish you'd like to take, try to plan to take that in future years in grades 10, 11, and 12. We want to take this opportunity to introduce you to who your school counselor will be when you get here. Counselors are assigned based on students' last names, so you can, based on what your last name starts with, you can see here on the screen who your assigned counselor will be. Miss Luce is the deaf and hard of hearing, your DHH counselor, so if you're a deaf and hard of hearing student, she will be your counselor. Otherwise, it's broken down by alphabet, and you can see who your counselor will be here on the screen. On the right-hand side is some good recommendations for how to get a hold of us in the future. One clarification about that, between now and the end of your 8th grade year, if you have a question about anything registration related, we ask that you contact the Middle School Counseling Center where you attend school. Those counselors that you have at the middle school work closely with us. They understand the registration process through our high school. They can help you with almost every question, and if they feel like they need to consult with us, they can reach out to us and consult with us about a question that you have that they don't feel comfortable answering. Once you get here to school in August and your schedule for 9th grade is posted in Skyward, at that point we recommend that you reach out and contact us if you have questions about classes, registration, and the like. Thanks, everyone. Hopefully you found this to be helpful and useful, and we're excited to see you next year when you get here. Go Warriors!